but I believe that there's a few things that you have to do right. And if you'll do that, you're going to find that hey, you can do well in this industry. And the things that you need to do right is you need to perform a good service. You need to interact with your clients. And those are the fun things, or should be the fun things. But then the third one is you need to quantify your data. You need to track your numbers. You need to have some business acumen. You need to be a business person, because that's what you're going to be. And I believe in today's day, as you're coming out of school, one of the greatest things that you have at your disposal is social media. It's also one of the lamest things out there, quite honestly. So, but it is what it is, right? I mean, if you will engage in social media, we are seeing some amazing things happen with people as they're coming out of school, that within a 6-month period of time that they can be busy, and it was never that case before. It was always about a 1.5 to 3 year process, and now because of how social media works, you know, you can really build something quickly and get after it, and that's great. But I believe in business, you just have to have good business practices, and you have to find out what those business practices are going to be for you. So we're going to talk about things, and it's the 9 steps. That's the class today. I know you're rolling your eyes right now, aren't you? It's like, I'm sick of this class. Well, get over it, because this is the bread and butter. Nothing more when you leave our school is that you know these 9 steps inside and out. And you practice them. More than just knowing it, it's that you're getting after it and that you're doing it. Because I do come by and visit salons, and when I come by and I visit people and I can blatantly see that they aren't doing certain steps, I give you a hard time. Just be aware. I will make you cry, Swift, I promise. But anyway, Henry Ford said the secret of success is to understand the viewpoint of others. Okay? Don't we all just want everyone to understand us, and we want everyone to see our point of view, and that's it? The world does not revolve around us, and honestly, in this service industry, the world revolves around your clients. And so you do need to understand them. You do need to understand their point of view. You need to understand what they like, and then you need to give them that. So now, these 9 steps that we're going to talk about are the 9 steps to a great client experience. And it's not that it's, some of them kind of mesh together, but we're talking about the 9 things you need to be kind of focused on while you're doing your service, okay? But the first one is that we need to welcome our guest, right? Again, I know you're like, oh my gosh, not again. Yes, again, you need to welcome the guest. If you walk up and welcome your guest and call him by name and say, come follow me, not saying you've done it wrong, just saying you haven't put forth much effort, okay? You need to consider walking out and greeting them with a smile. These are people. These are people that are having the same struggles, or sometimes bigger struggles than yourself, that are dealing with things, and to be greeted with a smile and to be warmly received, that's a big deal. And so don't be lazy in that. So I don't care if you're having a bad day, because it's not about you. It's about the client that came, right? So it is being prepared, okay? So like I said earlier, I walk around and I go and I visit salons. And when I visit salons, occasionally, and if I see it occasionally, I think it's happening significantly, I see a client waiting up front and a stylist running in apologizing for being late. Okay, and you've heard me say this, some of you, and maybe some of you haven't, but it's always one of 3 things that's just happened, which makes me think that it's a bunch of crap, that they're just late, that they weren't considerate enough to be on time. Okay, so they run in and they say, oh, I had car problems, or they run in and they say, oh, my kid was sick, or they run in and they say, my babysitter flaked out and I had to find somebody. So it's always one of those 3 things is always the thing I hear. And again, I hear it enough that I've taken notice. So to me, we don't live in a perfect world where it's going to be one of 3 things. It is that you weren't considerate enough to be there. That's what it is. Okay? So be prepared. And what does being prepared mean? Does it mean that if the appointment's at 9 a.m., that you're there at 9 a.m.? What do you think? When should you be there?
8:30.
Yeah, 8:30. I mean, because there's prep work to be set up and ready to go, right? So being prepared is I mean, just showing up, right? That's one of the biggest issues that people have is just being able to show up, be on time, and be ready. So, like I've said, greeting them with a smile, calling them by their first name. These are all little things that start to set you apart. People love to hear their name being called, okay? So the fact that you know their name, that you call them by name, that's a big deal, okay? I forget my kids' names all the time. They get mad at me when I call Zoe Libby and Libby Zoe. They get mad. It's like, give me a break. I'm almost 50 years old. I can't even remember, when your birthday is. I don't say that because then they get mad at me even more. But yeah, my kids don't even give me any room for error. Realize that your clients, again, they want to be called by their first name. Okay, and these are all just suggestions. Okay, shaking their hand. We in the beauty space get to be inside their personal bubble. So start the tone right there. That you're in their bubble, that you're touching them, that you're shaking their hand, you're putting your shoulder on their, or your hand on their shoulder, you're hugging them, whatever really you're comfortable with and they're comfortable with. Because again, you're going to be all up in their bubble that they don't let people in that bubble, right? I mean, they call the police on people that get inside their personal bubble, right? So we're one of the few professions that get to be inside their personal space, so let's just go ahead and set the tone during the greeting. That, hey, I'm here for you, I'm shaking your hand, I'm calling you by name, I'm smiling at you, I care about you, this is all about you, okay? And again, be prepared, don't, because if I'm visiting your salon and you're running in late, I'm not going to do it in front of the client, but you can expect me to light you up on something like that, okay? So, welcoming the guest. Does anyone do something? Because here I'm not telling you this is what you say or this is what you do. I'm giving you some suggestions, but do any of you do something in your welcome that you feel sets you apart? I know you do. Who's willing to share? And I'll pick on Swift. I swear I will. All right.
I would usually ask them a question something in a conversation from the last time, how's your mom feeling, or how did your surgery go? That way they know that I'm actively interested in their lives or what they're doing.
Yeah. So again, taking notes on the previous conversation would be a critical point to make sure that we're doing, because they are sharing things with us sometimes, not all the time, but if they're sharing something with you that's a significant event, the fact that you start with, hey, how did this go, or hey, how is this person, shows that you care, and that little something, that's all it is just a little something. So, all right, thank you, Heather. This is my niece. She's got $1 million smile. You have $1 million smiles. Use that smile, okay? I mean, just believe that you do. I mean, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people think they have a bad smile. Well, people like to be smiled at, so use that to your advantage. Okay, here we offer them some water as one of the steps, okay? I believe in your salons that you should have something for your guests. I mean, if we look at every single row here of people, every single row looks like someone has a drink, okay? And, we got Red Bull going down in the morning. That's pretty brave. I like that. Got coffee, and you got a vodka chaser in the yellow cup then, right? But people love their drinks, okay? And I've shared this before, but Ford Motor Company did a study on what was the #1 determining factor of a woman, specifically a woman, but I would say it's even beyond women. But what was the #1 reason why they chose the car that they chose? Yep, they found that it was cup holders. That was it, the number of cup holders. So if you look at old cars, so I have an old 1967 Volkswagen Bug, how many cup holders do you think are in my Bug? Yeah, 0, okay? Now I have a 2002 Chevy Suburban, and I have more cup holders in that thing than people that can ride in it. So they said, hey, people like their drinks, so we're going to build a cup holder that has an engine, okay, because people like their drinks. So I just kind of emphasize that because you knowing your client and knowing their favorite drink is a big deal. And if it's Diet Coke, and they love Diet Coke, and you have a Diet Coke for them ready when they get there, I mean, you'd be surprised what that little drink means to them. Because if they decide to go someplace else and that next person doesn't give them a Diet Coke, well, they know if they come to you, they get a Diet Coke. I mean, it is that 50 cents. It's less than 50 cents, but that little something matters. So whatever your secret sauce is going to be in terms of offering the guest something. So here we offer water because that's what we do here. I think you offer them something, and I don't really care what that something is. It could be a cookie, it could be a compliment, it could be a number of things. But really realize that that you having something for them is a big deal. And people love their drinks. This morning you have routines. All of you that have a drink here today, which is, I would say it's about a third of us, if that not even, maybe even close to half. But you have a routine in how you, when you have that drink. I mean, the first thing I did was when I got up and got ready and everything is I like kombucha. So, and I make my own kombucha. So if you haven't, yeah, that's a story for another day maybe, but I'll bring some. I did bring some one time. Basically it's like vinegar and it's disgusting, but I like it. So, and I make my own kombucha. So, but that's one of the first things I do in the morning is I drink some. So anyway, we just get in these habits and people like what they like. So you identifying, that might be one of the most important things that you identify with the client is what is their favorite drink so that you can have that drink there for them when they come. Good manners says when you go to someone's house, you have something for them. Okay, again, that can be a compliment or it can be an actual physical present. And when you receive someone into your home, you should also have something for them. So it's just good manners in business is saying that you're receiving a guest, you should have something for that guest. And I can tell you, going into salons, I see very few people doing it. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying that by having it, that you're setting yourself apart. And you're going to find that these little things that you're doing for people can be the difference in you keeping them long term. And it's just a little thing, just a drink. That's all it is, right? So, all right, so we do a consultation. Now, I've never done a consultation, so what are some of the things you do during a consultation? What's that? Ask them what they like about their hair, what they don't like about their hair, maybe. Okay. Anything else? What? Their goals. What do you want your hair to be like? Okay. Heather?
In nails, we look a lot at like their what they do for a living and like their fashion sense because it'll depend on the length and the shape and the style and the color and all that goes into it.
So as a nail tech, then you need to know, are your nails going to be in the way of doing what you need to do on a day-to-day basis? Okay. All right. Aesthetics, do you have anything that you do during your consultation?
Allergies and sensitivities.
Okay. Sensitivity of the skin. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Also
If they're
lifestyle.
pregnant. Yeah.
They're pregnant. Okay.
If they have epilepsy, their
Right.
style.
Their lifestyle.
Lifestyle. Okay. So these are all things then that are also helpful because you're learning about the client, right? But we're trying to build a service around what they need, and we need to know, okay, I type on my computer all day long. So should a nail tech give her 5-inch nails? Or it should be like this, right? Anyway, and understanding their lifestyle, understanding how much time they take in the morning, getting themselves ready. I mean, these are all things that are critical for you to understand during a consultation. Okay, anytime that you're, I'll come back to that. You think during a consultation that where you said you want to know their goals, that you should be repeating that back to them so that you know that you understand that? Has that ever happened to anybody where you think that you know what they want and what you ultimately give them we're not on the same page completely? I mean, that's, again, I don't know that's the end of the world, but I know that the client wants what they want, and they expect you to, as the professional, to give it to them. During this consultation, we should be talking to them about the steps that we're doing, not trying to talk over their head, but when we start telling them, this is what I'm doing for you today, and this is why, it gives us credibility. It makes us look like we know what we're doing. And you do know what you're doing. Okay, you're the professional. So by previewing the steps with them, educating them on the steps, if you're going to be using product, you should be talking about the product that you're going to be using, why you're choosing that product specifically for them, because these products should be specifically for them, for the service that we're doing for them, for their hair type, their skin type, their nail care, whatever it's going to be, during the consultation, we should be, as professionals, identifying the products that they need and educating them on the products, because ultimately we are going to want to retail these products to them. Okay? We should be talking to them about the duration to their next appointment. The most important business step you're ever going to do with the client is rebooking, and that's going to be one of the steps we'll talk about. But during the consultation, we should be discussing with them, okay, for this look and for what we're doing here, I'm going to want to see you in, and then fill in the blank, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I don't know. You're the professional, figure it out, right? But during the consultation, we're really setting things up. We're introducing product. We're talking about when they need to be back in. We're understanding what they want. We're showing that we're educated and that we're professionals, and how we're going to get them where they're going to be, and all those type of things. I think it's also important for you to explain the maintenance for them, right? For them to see the results that they're going to want to see. These are the things that you expect them to do too. Because if they don't do these things, then they're not going to get the results that they want. If they don't get the results they want, who are they blaming? Right? They're blaming you. So, okay. Next step. And again, we put these like they're steps. They're not necessarily going in this order, as we'll see here in just a second. But these are just the things that are happening. But step number 4 is that we're going to perform the service. Okay? So we've greeted them, we've given them a gift of water or a compliment or whatever. We've done a consultation, and now we need to start performing the service. So during the service steps, as we're performing that service, again, we should be explaining things to them. I don't think that it should be overly technical, but it should show that, again, you know that you know what you're doing, right? We should explain products as we bring products in. So once I start using a product on them, I should be explaining that product, why you're using that product. Let them smell the product. These products, they smell good, right? Usually. I mean, these companies have spent a lot of money in research and development to have a product do what it needs to do and smell good. So anyway, so introducing that, having them smell it, these are all things that we do during the service. Okay, when you're in now, for aesthetics, this doesn't necessarily apply because you tend to be in your own room. But for nails and the cause kids, when you're working on a client and you're sitting next to your friend, realize that you need to your friend needs to let you work on the client. Not to say that you can't engage in conversation, but if the conversation is between the two of you and the client's being left out, then that's bad form. Okay, so again, it's not that we can't be a part of the conversation, but that client needs to be a part of that conversation also. So allow people to work. I know that you got big plans after when school gets out, and when you get out there and start working in the real world, you got plans for the night and everything, but it's not about you, it's about the client. So allow your friend or friends allow your friend to work on the client, and don't just have it be about the two of you. And it's important to be professional at all times. You and your client may be like-minded. We kicked that on. It just turned off. Yeah. You and your clients, and you just have to open up that. It's inside there. Sorry. Yeah. It kicks off about every 15, 20 minutes. So you have a job putting you to work, Barbara. So. Yeah. Just hit the power button on the. It's the. Yeah. No, the one below it. No, the base, the receiver below. So this thing here is what needs to. There we go.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
never looked at that one.
Yeah, sorry. Technical difficulties. But being professional that's a big deal too. You're going to hear crazy stories. You're going to have clients, again, that are like-minded, and maybe you want to talk about things that are out there a little bit. Realize that there's more than just the two of you in the room sometimes, and if it isn't, then great. But it is, being professional matters, and just realize that. So, Heather.
There was a situation when I was in a salon as a nail tech. It was an open salon where there was hairdressers and nails and everything, and one of my clients was bad-mouthing somebody, and it ended up being the hair station next, her client's relative. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like so embarrassed. I was like trying to steer the conversation away, but it was, so you have to be aware. People are related,
Yeah.
especially in this area. So.
Yeah. So conversations that are gossip type conversations need to be steered somehow. Okay, it is not professional to sit there and negatively talk about others. It isn't. I know that it can be fun at times. I'm not going to say that I've never done it. Talk about Heather all the time, right? No, just kidding. Yeah. But it is. It's realizing that there's more than just the two of you there. That this conversation needs to have a very professional tone to it. So, okay. So we're performing the service. So step 5 is something that's happening throughout the service, and that's conversing with the client. Okay, and this is one that you need to become a conversationalist. And those of you that are shy, you need to get over it. And those of you that like to talk, you need to learn to shut up. So there's just this fine line where you need to become a chameleon to the conversation. So if you have a client that's shy, then you need to carry the conversation a little more. And if you have a client that likes to talk, then you need to shut up a little more and let the client talk. Burgundy.
So I'm taking a life coaching course right now, and something it had me do, and it was really hard even to like wrap my mind around. But so like ask a question, and I practice on my kids a lot over break. And then they answer, and then like unpack that a little bit more, and then unpack that answer a little more, and it's hard.
Yeah, and I'll say some people ask a question and don't even listen to the answer.
Right.
So you're saying, listen, ask the question, listen to what the response is, and then continue to build off of that to learn more about whatever the.
More questions,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was also, like you were saying, it was definitely not just a question conversation builder, but honing in on my listening skills. Because especially with my kids, like how often am I like, oh, how was your day? But I'm over here making coffee.
Yeah.
So it was.
Yeah. No, it is. Again, it's not just trying to fill a void of dead air, like asking the question and then paying attention to something else, or asking a question and getting ready to ask your next question, right? So it is being able to converse. It's a life skill, and it's not something that you're necessarily going to have figured out on day one, but it's something that you need to be working on. So if you, again, are a shy person, learn to talk. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is, over time, the only clients that you're going to keep are talkative clients because you don't talk. Because shy people are going to sit in your chair and you're going to be working on them and you're going to be sitting there in silence. Okay? And that's going to be awkward. Now, aesthetics, you have it a little different because sometimes they just want to go to sleep. But I'm also going to say I've been up and around the area enough to see, not now if the room's closed, I don't walk in. I'm not that creepy guy that's up there doing stuff, right? I'm just walking through. But I am up there and I see you engaged in conversation. So I know that conversation goes on. But there are going to be times, and I don't care what service it is, there are going to be times where the client may just tell you, hey, I just want to sit here and be quiet. And you need to cue on that. So, but if you're shy and you don't learn to talk, then again, over time, you'll only have talkative clients. And if you like to talk and you don't let people engage in conversation and you're always talking over people, what you're ultimately going to end up with is a client base of shy people because talkative people can't get an edge in word-wise. So they're going to go someplace else. So when I say you need to learn to converse, it's an art form. The Japanese had geishas, and they still do. And these women are the most talented women out there. They're proficient in art, in music, in current events, and they will see how does the conversation need to go, but it's all about the person. So if the person's going to talk, they let them talk. And if they're not, then they can carry on the conversation and figure things out. What I am going to also say in you becoming a conversationalist, that if that's hard for you, start looking for news venues. There's a app called Flipboard that you get to choose topics, and it just sends you topics. There's a lot of them out there. But I hate the news because the news only focuses on who's going to hit the nuclear button first, Donald Trump or the guy from North Korea, and I forget, something, yeah, anyway. Yeah, I was going to say something, but I was going to mess it up, and that's going to make me look racist, so. I'm not. But that's what the news focuses on, is these two guys willing to push a button and kill a bunch of people. That's crazy, right? I think they're full of it. I don't think either of them would, I hope not, because if they do, then we got bigger problems than these 9 steps that we're going to be talking about, right? But look for positive, interesting stories, current events, things like that that are happening that you can engage in conversation with the clients. Be well read, okay? Find books that you like. I'm grateful for Audible because of how my work day goes. I can listen to a book. I put it on 2 times speed, so it kind of sounds like a chipmunk, but I get through the book in half the time, and it does cause me to have to focus. But if I'm driving somewhere and I have 10 minutes, I can just flip open my book and hit it. Right now I'm listening to a book on Genghis Khan and his rise to power, and then his family and how they screwed it all up. So anyway, interesting book. But I just share that because it shouldn't be just go to work and then go home and watch TV. You're a professional. You need to engage in conversation. If you struggle with conversing with people, Burgundy, there's probably classes on, I mean, it sounds to me like you're in one right now that teaches you how to engage in real conversation. And really, that's what we need, right? Real conversation. So be that person. Because if you can engage in real conversation with this person, and you can listen to them, and you don't have to fix them. Are they going to have problems? I mean, we all have problems, right? We're all a freaking mess. It's just at what level of a mess we're at. But, if the client is going to want to talk about their problems, you need to take control of that. Again, you don't need to fix them, but you can't just have it be a crazy mess, okay? Focus on your client's life and not yours. So again, I've never done a beauty professional service ever, and I never will. You are gifted people. You truly are. You're craftsmen. You're, again, geishas. You're all this going on. And but I will say this: when I'm out talking with people that don't work in our profession, and they find out that I work in the beauty space and I own a school, they do ask me, or I start asking them questions. So they start asking me questions, I start asking them questions, because there's certain things I want to know. And the 2 questions they're always going to get asked from me is, what's the thing you love about your stylist? I don't want to know about the service, I want to know what you love about your stylist, okay? And what is the thing that drives you nuts? Now, sometimes they can't answer the second one. They have a whole list of reasons they love you. Oh, they're so happy, they're upbeat, they listen to my problems. Those are the things that they're telling me, okay? The thing that I hear, though, the number one reason that people, or the number one issue that people have in my unscientific research is that you want to talk about your life. And this is what they say. Oh, they just want to talk about their life. That's the one thing I hate. They do a great job on the service, but I'm paying them. I'm not there to listen to their problems. They're there to listen to mine. And that's what they say. Okay? They talk about their problems too much, and they're paying you, so they don't want to listen to your problems. They want to regurgitate their issues on you. Okay? Now, there are topics, and I'm going to make this recommendation. You have to live however you want to do it. But there's 3 topics that we like to have you avoid. Okay, this is not a rule. Even at Austin Cade, this is not a rule that you can't talk about these 3 topics with your clients. It's highly encouraged that you don't, though. Okay? And those 3 topics are religion, politics, and sex. Okay? Now, again, you're grown-ups. We're not in grade school or high school anymore. You want to talk about those 3 things, go right ahead. But guess what happens? I mean, look at our political arena right now in the United States, not just in the world, but in the United States. If you aren't of the same party, that makes you bad. Okay? We can't be friends because you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat. We can't be friends. Bah! Well, that's stupid, right? We don't have to agree politically, but it doesn't mean we can't go and, well, I like to fly fish. I can fly fish with people who don't think the same way I do, and hopefully I out-catch them with fish, but for me it's more standing in the river and casting than catching. In fact, when the fish gets up to me, I prefer it gets itself off the hook because I don't want to touch it because they're slimy. And you smell bad after you touch a fish. Just letting you know. So I guess I'm that girly fisherman that doesn't want to smell bad. So, but those 3 topics, and even if you and your client are like-minded, it doesn't mean that people in the vicinity are, but those 3 topics, you go out and start talking with people and just differ, even if you don't, just differ and see what happens. Just so, well, don't do it, but I'm just saying that if you were, that you will find that people will get irritated really quickly. Like, to the point of, I don't know that we can be friends, which is stupid. We should be able to disagree on these things and still be able to interact and be civil, okay? So, again, not saying that you can't talk about those 3 things, but it is highly suggested you don't, okay? I will say, and I know that there's going to be professionals that disagree with me, I think our words matter, and I've been in salons where they are dropping the F-bomb like crazy, and maybe that's who they are, and they think that's cool. I think it's very unprofessional, okay? But that's my opinion. I guarantee you there's someone out there that I just said that to that's going, oh, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, I know I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's beside the point. But it's, for me, I think that words matter. Okay, I coach football, and at the beginning of the season, I tell the kids, my goal is not to swear at you. That's my goal. And I do a pretty good job. Not perfect. Never had a season where I haven't sworn at the kids a little bit, but I never direct it specifically. It's more of, anyway, now I'm digressing, and I do that because of my ADD, but anyway. But I believe that as we converse, that the words we use matter, and being able to converse without dropping all the swear words in the mix. And that's just me, because I have friends that I love to death that you can't watch them in their social media feeds, and one that's, I'm not going to name names, but she's someone that I follow, and I eat, drink, and breathe what she says, and she's dropping the F-bomb like crazy. So it doesn't matter. It's opinion there, right? So making notes on your clients, though, this is where we come back to all these things start to ultimately be intertwined. So we just had a conversation. We just had a great things. This client's daughter's getting married. Do you think you should make a note on that? Because then when you greet them the next time, like Heather's pointed out, if you greet them and say, hey, how did this thing go, then it's showing that you pay attention. So I know you all think that, oh, I won't forget that. Yeah, you will. Like I said earlier, I've forgotten the names of my kids before. So, and yeah, in fact, my 3 daughters, so it's Libby, Zoe, and Sammy, it's Lizosa. That's what I call them. So it's the first 2 letters of each kid's name, and I can remember Lizosa. And sometimes I can't remember who I'm talking to, so sometimes they get called Lizosa. So, and when they're together, that's what I refer to them as, because I'm always gonna call one of them. And you wait till you get to my age and you have 3 daughters, you're gonna find that that's gonna be the case too. So, maybe not, but. Okay, so step number 6. So now we've conversed with the client, we've performed the service, we've done all these steps, and we get to the end of the service, and there needs to be a final inspection. I love watching Tabitha Coffey and her shows, and I think she has something new going on now, but before she would be going into a salon and work with them about improving, and there was always these women that had been in the industry for 20 plus years, and Tabitha would be working with them, and she would inspect their work at the end of the service. And this happened on more than one occasion during her show, and that just freaked out the person that she was inspecting. Just freaked him out, just was insulting. Just, I've been in this industry 20 plus years. Why are you inspecting my work? That was their stance. Why do you think you should inspect the work, whether you've been in the industry 50 years? Why do you think you should inspect the work? Why do you think?
People make mistakes.
Yeah, because we could be off. It's just, check twice, cut once is a term that's used in construction and other things, but it's that maybe there is something. During the inspection, there's a lot that can be going on. You're inspecting it, but you're also making sure that they like the service. Okay, so be asking them that, paying them a compliment, saying, "Hey, you look great. What do you think?" And let them respond, right? But if we don't take the time to inspect the work and then we send them out, and maybe if you're a hairstylist and there's just a little something that's off that could have been fixed easy, that's you don't want to be in that position. You don't want them going home and saying, "Oh, I don't like this actually." So During the final inspection, then, we're inspecting the work. We're making sure the client likes it. We're making sure that it's met their expectation, all those type of things. Okay, so then we get into the final 3 steps of a great client experience. Okay, if the client's happy, we need them to help us build a business. So the next step, and I put them in this order. Again, you can do it however you want. Even here, I think it flows best in this order. But we're going to ask them for referrals. Okay. So now, if you're a hairstylist and you have that cape around their neck, it's a magical cape. You put that cape around their neck, and you tell them to stand, they stand. You tell them to sit, they sit. Okay. You pop that cape off, what happens? You lose control. They are now going to their purse, or they're standing up. I mean, their thought is someplace else. With that cape around their neck, they're there looking at the work you're doing, but they're also waiting for you to command what their next step is going to be. Okay, so you sit them down, you do a consultation, they follow me. They get up, they follow you to the shampoo bowl, you shampoo their hair, they follow you. I mean, trust me. I mean, do an experiment. I don't recommend this, but it'd be funny. If it's someone you know, try this. Stand them up, say, okay, follow me, and then walk them around the whole building and then to the machine. I mean, watch, they're just going to follow you. They're not going to know that you're screwing around, but maybe don't screw around. But I'm just saying that when they have that cape on, that magical cape puts you in charge, okay? Now, with nails, I think they're waiting for you to kind of signal that, whether that's you standing up or whatever, but they're waiting for you to signal to them that it's over. And skin, I think it's the same thing, that you're done with the service. So realize that before you give that signal, whatever that signal is going to be, that you should ask them for referrals, because you have their attention, okay? Referral-based business is what you want. We'll take walk-in traffic, but you need referrals. So during step 7, we're going to ask them for referrals. And again, I put it here because if we put it at the end, they're checking their phone, they're looking through their purse, they're doing things. We've lost their attention, okay? So I believe that asking for referrals happens before you signal to them that the service is over, okay? And I think, anyway, and there's a whole class that we'll do on referrals, but it's as simple as having 3 cards and telling them, hey, I need your help. Will you help me? Here's 3 cards. Will you please hand these out to your friends and family? And they're going to say yes. I mean, I've never seen that happen where someone's not willing to help, and they want to help, okay? But anyway, these referrals that they're handing out, when someone comes in, and if you had a client that's been referred, that's great, because what that's showing you is that your clients trust you, and that person that you are working on is choosing to come to you because they've seen your work. And statistically speaking, you have a higher probability that you're going to keep that person long term. Again, we love walk-in traffic. If we didn't have anything going on, I now have a client. But a walk-in client walked in someplace else the time before. And so this referred client is making a decision to come to you specifically, and now you need to do what you need to do to keep them. Okay, so anyway, before we signal to them that the service is over, I need to ask for referrals. And then I can signal to them that the service is over, and we start walking them up front, okay? Now, some of you are scared to death to retail product, okay? I know that. Get over it. These products this is not snake oil. These products make a difference in the quality of their hair, their skin, all that, okay? So these products have, again, millions of dollars in research and development that's been spent on them. They've spent millions of dollars in marketing efforts, and because our industry does a terrible job of retail, companies like Ulta exist. I know you all love Ulta. They are the evil empire. Now hopefully no one from Ulta sees this, because actually my daughter works at an Ulta in California, and I actually had this conversation with somebody there. I said, you guys are the evil empire, and this is why. But they are the #1 retailer in the United States, if not globally, of professional products. And the reason that they are so successful, and they are successful, they are not run by people who understand the beauty space. They're just run by people who are profiting off of the fact that we as professionals are afraid to retail product. We are, okay? So when I walk in and visit my graduates and other people and clients that are using my app, and I see that they're not carrying product, I kind of give them a hard time about that. Why don't you carry product? And one thing that I hear is, oh, well, I really can't afford it right now. I'm saving up. Okay, you can afford to buy 3 bottles of something, and that may cost you $45 to $50, but you've got to start setting that money aside, because that investment's going to bring back, whatever you invest into it is going to bring that back to you, whether that's in a day, a week, or a month. Okay, but Ulta is here to stay, and again, I don't want to say that they're, well, I did say they're the evil empire. I was right about to say, I'm not going to say they're bad, but they're the evil empire. They are, but they're here to stay because our industry does a bad job of retail. In 2017, or 2016, sorry, I got to go get 2017's numbers, but in 2016, there was over $50 billion of retail that was sold in the beauty professional space. And professionals accounted for $4.5 billion of it. So there's really almost $46 billion that's out there that is out there that we're never going to capture all of it, because we've already set a bad precedent. It's going to take years and years. Sorry, I just spit. It didn't hit you though. Landed right there, but anyway. It's going to take years and years of us getting better at retail for us to start to take market share away from companies like Ulta. And Ulta's not the only company out there. Okay, your clients want the product. Your clients want to support you. You need to carry the product and make a recommendation that they buy the product. Heather.
Over break, I did some work for C&D and went and did salon visits. And one of the things they wanted me to look at was how many actually carried retail products. None of them.
Yeah.
And I visited probably 45 salons.
Yeah. And
none of them had any nail retail.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, if you're a nail tech, you should carry professional hair products, skin products, and lotions and nail products. If you're an esthetician, you should carry everything that goes into the hair line, and if you're on the hair line, you should carry everything too, because it's not getting done. We're not hitting the numbers that we need to hit. Okay, I hear all the excuses. Oh, I can't afford it right now. No, you can't afford not to. Okay, or I don't want to be a pushy salesman. Well, sorry, you're in the sales industry for the rest of your life. You're in the I'm making you look good, and for me to make you look good, you need to do this. And they need professional products. You better believe in these products. I mean, again, before I got married, I used a bar of soap to wash my hair and my body. And I had an itchy back and an itchy scalp for all the way up till I was 21. I married Allison, and she was using a Veda product, and that was the first time I used it, and my itchy scalp and back went away. So my quality of life, quite honestly, it might not sound like a big deal, but when you don't have an itchy back all day long, that's a big deal. And that bar of soap, I thought it was getting me clean. No, all it was doing was causing skin issues and making me feel like I had dandruff, right? So professional products matter. And if you don't believe in them, you need to start believing them. You need to find a product that you can believe in. And when you believe in it, you need to recommend that product to your clients, because they need it. They absolutely need it. We need to capture, as an industry, over $46 billion of money that's floating out there. And every year that number gets bigger. Okay? So I'm saying that if your retail to service percentage can be 15% or better, that we're going to put a dent in that. And we're going to start capturing that back to us. Okay? I mean, I was in a show in Seattle where a product manufacturer was complaining about the amount of money that they spend on advertising, and that the beauty professionals weren't doing their part. Okay? And I'm not going to name a name, but I can tell you this. That line is carried at Ulta. Okay? Did you have a comment, Heather? Or you were scratching? Okay. Yeah. Because you used bar soap, right? So, anyway, that number, and we do give you that number, and I don't care where your number is. I don't sit here and look at them, to be perfectly honest. You need to take charge of that, though. You need to be willing to be a part of it that's not afraid to retail. Okay, and it's not even that you call it retail. We call it recommend, right? You need to recommend these products. We got a great men's line. It is one of the best men's line out there in 1821. That is a fantastic line. It smells great. What do you think, Swift?
Love it.
Love it. right? If you're working on a man, they will do whatever you ask them. Have them smell that product. And if they love the smell, all the products pretty much have that same smell. And it's a sweet tobacco smell. It's a great product line. Anyway, it's something that every man should have, okay? And again, whatever, we carry Kevin Murphy for really anybody, but and then skincare line, we carry Image, we carry Feedamere, and these are things that you need to buy into and you need to use yourself. And if you don't, well, you need to find a line that you can believe in and then carry that line, okay? Heather.
Before and after pictures are awesome too, because a lot of times people won't believe you that the products do what they do.
Yeah.
But if you have like picture proof of a client that's actually used it, and their progress from it, then they're more likely to want to purchase it for themselves.
Yeah.
So.
No, and that's all coming back. I mean, I kind of mentioned social media earlier, and I don't really have that in. I need to create a step, right, where we're taking pictures of social media. I mean, that should be happening, that we can document this. Realize that these product lines have money-back guarantees on them. And you can check with your supply house and say, hey, if I have a client return it, can I return it to you? Make sure that you can do that, but you can. At least all the products that we carry have that money-back guarantee. Let the clients know, because sometimes it is a big investment for them. Sometimes they're used to paying $3 to $7 for a bottle of shampoo, and all of a sudden we're asking them to spend $40, right? I mean, some upwards of $40. I mean, there's products that are more than that, okay? I can tell you, though, that your retail numbers matter. I've had students text me that one in particular sold over $700 in retail in one day. I mean, that's freaking rock star numbers, okay? I guarantee you that those clients that took that product home and had a good experience, appreciated it, had a better client experience. These 9 steps are all about having a better client experience. And then experiencing high quality products matter. And they should, more than just the service time, they should be using this in their regimen. So if you're afraid, get over it. That's it. That's as simple as that. Don't care if they buy it. It's not your job to pressure them into purchasing it. It's your job to educating them on it and make a recommendation. Hey, I recommend you buy this product. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Okay? If our industry would do a better job of that, we would go from, I mean, statistically, we're about 7% when we need to be at about 15%. So our retail to service percentage is sitting about 7%. That's not cutting it. Okay? So if we can get our numbers up to 15%, and here's a school, we've had months where the student body's been upwards of 30%, which is just amazing numbers. Okay, we've also, early on before we really started, 10 plus years ago, we were sitting there at 3%. Okay, and then we started making it a point of emphasis, and you started doing a better job as students. And again, I don't care whether your clients buy it or not. What I care about is that you make a recommendation that they purchase. And as you get out, you don't need to carry $1,000 worth of retail. Okay, if money's tight, right now you should be saving all your tips to be able to go out and buy $50 worth of product that you then can turn over in a week and buy more product with. Okay, so just trust me on that one. We need to do a better job as an industry, because the Ultas of the world are going to have more competition. There are going to be other companies, and they're already out there, but you're going to see other companies that are Ulta-minded, that are like, oh, well, if the beauty space isn't going to sell the product, and it's a $50 billion industry, well, yeah, we can just get a little portion of that. Well, we're doing really good, okay? I mean, Ulta's doing really, really good. Now, they employ our people. They do all that. I mean, it's not, they're still the evil empire to me, but they do have some good that they're doing for our industry, but we need to start capturing those sales back. They need to start coming into the professional shops, into the suites, into the booth renters. I mean, we need to take control and realize, have I beaten this dead horse enough yet? So where I have the stance of, I don't care if they buy it, I also have the stance of, but I care that you educate them on it and make a recommendation. Because if you're not even doing that, you're part of the problem. And that problem is rampant. Because, Heather, how many salons did you go to, Heather?
I bet I visited at least 40.
40 salons, and not a single one of them had retail. That's why Ulta exists. Okay? And
And when I would ask them, like, well, where do you think your clients are getting their product? And they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're buying it, so
Yeah.
they're going wherever they can get it.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm not going to sit here and keep beating this dead horse, but I am going to statistically, and every year, I know the previous year's numbers. And now that we just started in 2018, I'll be going to the Small Business Development Center, getting into the database, getting the numbers for 2017, and reporting them back to you. Because that number, again, for 2016, was just over $50 billion. That's a huge number, and we're capturing a very small segment of that. Okay, we can compete with Amazon. We can compete with Ulta. You have the relationship where they don't. Okay, you have the person there. You need to now take charge of that and go up against the big companies. Have your retail to service percentage be somewhere in the 15+%. Again, I've had graduates text me that we're working at your entry-level places like Smart Style, one that sold $3,500 in retail out of a Smart Style in a month. Management loved her. They were just like blown away. Nice job. I mean, if she can do it at Smart Style, you can do it. It can be done anywhere. And it's not me bagging on Smart Style. It's just me saying that people that go to Smart Style are very price-conscious people, typically, right? It's all about convenience and price for those for that place, and those are great places to start or even have your career at. But the fact that someone in a Smart Style could retail $3,500 in a month, I mean, you can divide that number by 2, and that's what her profit, had she been in a booth rent situation, would have been. So, last business step then, or last step that we do for a great client experience is we rebook their appointment. Okay, too many people are just letting clients walk out the door without rebooking their next appointment with the idea that, oh, they'll call me when they're ready. What's the problem with that? What do you think the problem with, oh, they'll call me when they're ready might be? They don't call when they should, right? Or they don't call at all. That's scary. So rebooking is representing retention. Okay, that's important for you to. We're trying to fill a bucket, right? And if we're not rebooking, we're trying to fill a bucket now that has a hole in it. Okay, and we're putting water in it, but there's this hole because we're not rebooking our clients. I don't know where that number should be. I think you should be at, if you had 10 clients, you should have at least six of them rebook. Obviously, I'd love to see it higher than that, but at least 60% of your clients should be rebooking. And if they're not, then you need to look at how are you doing that. Okay, and again, I think that referrals happens first, and then you can try and rebook them, and then retail, or however you want to do it. But these are the 3 last steps that we're going to do with the guest is, okay, I'm going to ask you for some referrals. I'm going to recommend you buy this product, and hey, let's go ahead and schedule your next appointment. I was working with a barber shop that wasn't rebooking, and they've been able to be now where they're booked out for at times 4 to 6 weeks booked. And what that's doing is by rebooking, statistically we see a client about 2 more times in a year. And if you times the number of clients that you have by 2, that's how many more appointments you're going to have that year. And then if you times that number by your average ticket price, that kind of gives you an idea of the amount of money that you stand to make by rebooking. And I will say statistically it's about a $15,000 to $60,000 annual income that we make because we're rebooking our clients. By rebooking also, we're filling up our time slots, and we're seeing our clients with more frequency, which means now I need to manage fewer clients. If I let my clients call me whenever they want, then they stretch longer, and I need more clients to fill in all the scheduled time. So rebooking is just, it's being professional. Bottom line. I mean, when you rebook someone, I want to know about it. I want you telling me, hey, I rebooked this client, and let's high five, right? Because it's a big deal. Because when you try to rebook a client, what are some of the things that they say? Let me check my schedule. I don't know my schedule, right? So I talk about this with some frequency. I know that I'm repetitive, but that's okay. Repetition's where things start to come into play and really start to hone the craft. Okay? So when a client says, I don't know my schedule, I say with high 90% probability they are lying to us. They don't know that they know their schedule. I'll give them that. But the reality is, if they can be here today at 9 a.m. on a Monday, I believe every Monday at 9 a.m. they can be here. Okay, so when they say, I don't know my schedule, don't buy that. Don't, oh, okay, yeah, just call me whenever. No. Look, client, and you need to build a relationship where you can have this type of conversation with them, and it's, hey, you should consider the rebooking with me, and we'll do it for the same day and time. If there's an issue, we'll figure it out and schedule another time, but let's go ahead and get you scheduled. Okay, you need to be persistent, because if you don't, then they're going to call you, but they're going to go longer between appointments, and you're going to see them fewer times in a year, and you're going to need more clients, and you're going to make less money, and you're going to need more product to work on that client. I mean, there's just all these things as to why it's a bad business step not to schedule their next appointment. Now, I've had graduates tell me that people in their shop say, oh, they say I'm so pushy that the clients will come back that I shouldn't reschedule their appointment. And anyone that tells you that doesn't understand why rebooking is so important. This is the number one most important business step that you're ever going to do is rebook the client. Okay, so get good at it and realize that initially there's going to be this learning curve of getting them past that. But it is, hey, if we can just get them scheduled. I mean, when I leave my barber shop, that's the last step I do is schedule my next appointment, and then I get text message reminders and all that, and it's great. And as a client, I love that. So realize that your clients, when they say, I don't know my schedule, yeah, they do. They just don't know they know their schedule. Okay, so don't buy it. If they're there on that day at a certain time, they can be there same day. Again, high probability they can be there. So just schedule the appointment, press a little bit on that issue. The longer you're out there working, the easier that step's going to be. Because ultimately, you want clients that rebook their appointments. If they don't rebook, you want to weed that client out. Because they're coming in on their time, they're coming in on, they're doing things how they want to do it. And you have a business that you need to build, and you need it done a certain way, and I guarantee you that the most important thing you're going to do is schedule their next appointment, and it needs to be done. Okay? All right. So these are the 9 steps. Are you glad that that's what we started with, first class of the year? Yeah. It's okay to say no. It's like, no, we're sick of this class. But I truly believe that this is what's going to set you apart. All the things that we talked about today, these are just little things. And these little things, if you will do them, great things will happen. We have graduates that are doing amazing things out there that are living their dream. You are all here because you have a dream. And I'm here to tell you you're good enough to have that dream. You truly are. Don't buy into what anyone else is trying to sell you on how you can't do it. They are full of it. They don't know what they're talking about. You have a dream, but for you to live that dream, you need to provide a great service. You need to interact with your client, and you need to be business-minded. And if you will live those 3 steps, those 3 things, and follow all the things we talked about today, I know that I can tell you that you will build a business that helps you ultimately accomplish your dream. Okay? All right, should we have a little break? Oh, thank you for the applause. You know I love it.